Hello everybody, it's the Strange Eli, and welcome to a deck tech. Now I usually don't do these, but in the spirit of Halloween, I thought I'd go over my Reaper King Scarecrow Tribal EDH deck. Now Reaper King can cost for 10 colorless mana, or 1 white, blue, black, red, green, or 2 and a blue, black, red, green, or 2 and a white, black, red, green, or so on and so forth. You can pay in any combination. So what it does is it's a 6/6 for 5 mana. Of course, it's all in all 5 colors, and other Scarecrow creatures you control get +1/+1. And whenever another Scarecrow comes into play under your control, destroy target permanent. Now that's the most powerful part, is it's not just like non-land permanent, it's any permanent. So like you can destroy the creatures, planeswalkers, enchantments that are bugging you, and then eventually you can get to their lands, or go right for their lands right out the gate, or so on and so forth. So let's start out by going through the Scarecrows. So to start us off, Adaptive Automaton. Now this isn't necessarily a Scarecrow, but he comes into play as a creature of a chosen type, which of course would be Scarecrow, because you get that enter the battlefield trigger, and other creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Antler Skulkin costs for 5, and it's a 3/3, and you can pay 2 to give target white creature persist until end of turn, which can be cool because it dies, so it goes to the graveyard, but then it also comes back with a -1/-1 counter, so it has that, you can abuse that enter the battlefield ability if you would like to. Blaze Thorn Scarecrow costs for 5, and it's a 3/3, and it has haste as long as you control a red creature, and wither as long as you control a green creature. Now wither, in case you don't know, means that it deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters, so that can be fun. Chainbreaker costs for 2, and it's a 3/3, but with some downside. It comes into play with 2 -1/-1 counters on it, but you can pay 3 and tap it to remove a -1/-1 counter from target creature, which doesn't mean just this one. If you have a creature that died and came back with a -1/-1 counter from persist, then you can go ahead and move it from that as well. Fang Skulkin is 2 for a 2/1, and you can pay 2 to give target creature, or target black creature, wither until end of turn, which we already explained. Grim Poppet, is a 7-drop, and it's a 4/4, and it comes into play with 3 -1/-1 counters on it, but you can just, with no activation cost other than removing a -1/-1 counter from it, you can put a -1/-1 counter on another target creature. This is Heapdall. It's a 1-drop for a 1/1, and you can sacrifice it to remove target card in graveyard from the game. Now this is pretty weak on its own. Like, this is pretty much an unplayable card, but in this deck it can be a 2/2 for 1, or sometimes even a 4/4 for 1 when we get back to Tempered Steel. And it's a Vindicate when it comes in, so I thought that I might as well just play it. Hoof Skulkin is a 3-drop, and it's a 2/2, and then you can pay 3 to give target creature +1/+1 until end of turn. Sorry, did I say green creature? Yeah. Jawbone Skulkin. There's a whole cycle of Skulkins if you've been watching. So this is a 1-drop for 1/1, and you can pay 2 to give target red creature haste until end of turn. So they all have activated abilities that can affect different colored creatures. Lockjaw Snapper is a 4-drop for a 2/2, and it has wither, so we already talked about what that does. And when Lockjaw Snapper is put into a graveyard from play, put a -1/-1 counter on each creature with a -1/-1 counter on it. So it's kind of like a not really proliferate, but you know, that sort of effect, you could say. Blue-Brown Scarecrow is a 3-drop for a 4/4. When it comes into play, you may choose a color, and then when you control no permanents of the chosen color, sacrifice the Blue-Brown Scarecrow. This is also pretty weak, but it can be given persist through ways, namely like Cauldron of Souls, and there are like 2 blue creatures in this deck, so I mean, if you count Reaper King, which is technically all 5 colors, and then another creature, Fildalkin Archmage, which we're going to get to, which is a blue creature. We're most likely calling blue. One-Eyed Scarecrow. This is probably what like made me build this deck. Is this? I got a foil One-Eyed Scarecrow from a pack in Innistrad way back when that was in Standard. So this is a 3-drop for a 2/3 with Defender, and creatures you're with flying your opponent's control get -1/-0, which I thought was very flavorful, and I like the card. Pilipala. It's a 2/2 for a 1, or sorry, it's a 2-drop for 1/1 with flying, and then you may pay 2 and untap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Not often used for its mana ability, but when it's necessary, it's used. Rattleblaze Scarecrow. It's a 6-drop for a 5/3. Rattleblaze Scarecrow gains or has persist as long as you control a black creature, and Rattleblaze Scarecrow has haste as long as you control a red creature. Scarecrow. Now this is like the second most expensive card in this deck. It's a 3-drop for a 1/2, and you may pay 1 and sacrifice a Scarecrow to draw a card. And then, but a lot of, like, you can give persist to the Scarecrows, and then you get that creature right back. Or you may just pay 4 and tap it to return target artifact creature from your graveyard to play. So, namely, Scarecrows, who you want to draw more cards with. So, Scarecrows are not a very large tribe. They have very few creatures in the game of Magic. I think there's a little less than 30. So, of course, all 30, or actually all of them except Painter Servant, which is banned in EDH, is in here. Of course, you can put them in there if your play group is okay with that. But I kind of want to take this at FNM, and I just don't want to have to deal with the hassle of people complaining about a commander illegal card in my deck. So anyways, Scarecrow is an old card from the dark. So it's a 5-drop for a 2/2, and I may pay 6 and tap it, and then until end of turn, all damage done to you by flying creatures is reduced to 0. So prevent all damage done by flying creatures to me, which can be good if my opponent is playing like Archetype of Inspiration, or or something like that. Scrap Basket is a 4-drop for a 3/2, and you may pay 1 and Scrap Basket becomes all colors until end turn, which is another good creature to have when you have that Lure-bound Scarecrow out, because then you just keep activating and make sure that Lure-bound Scarecrow never dies, or it never has to sacrifice itself. So Scuttlemutt is a 3-drop. It's a 2/2, and you may tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, or tap it and target creature becomes the color of your color or colors of your choice until end turn. That bottom ability isn't always relevant, but there's always Lure-bound Scarecrow, and then you can turn something into like blue or any other color. Shell Skulkin. I think this is the last one of the Skulkin cycle. So it's for 4. It's a 3/2, and you may pay 3 to give target blue creature Shroud until end turn, which is really good if people are playing spot removal towards Reaper King here. So I have a couple proxies in here just because this deck isn't 100% complete yet. But Straw Soldiers, like I was saying, there's not many Scarecrows in the game of Magic, so I need to play all of them. So here is a 1/3 for 2, or for 1 in a blue. It says Soldiers on there, but it was recently oracled to Scarecrow, so it's in here. Tatterkite is a 3-drop for a 2/1 with flying, and it can have counters placed on it. So that can be good, or maybe it's bad. It's pretty good with persist, because that way it just never dies. Like you can, because when persist goes off, you have to put a -1/-1 counter on it, but this can't have counters placed on it, so it just stays a 2/1 forever, which is pretty sweet. Thornwatch Scarecrow is a 6-drop for 4/4, and it has Wither as long as you control a green creature, and Vigilance as long as you control a white creature. So, Watchwing Scarecrow. This is actually my favorite card in this deck. For 4, it's a 2/4, and if you can It has vigilance as long as you control a white creature, and flying as long as you control a blue creature. So with Reaper King out, it's a 4-drop for a 3/5 flying vigilance, which is pretty sweet. Wicker Crawler for 5, it's a 6/6, and when it attacks or blocks, you put a -1/-1 counter on it at the end of combat. Wing Rattle Scarecrow is a 3/3, or sorry, it's a 3-drop for a 2/2, and it has flying as long as you control a blue creature, and persist as long as you control a black creature. So now there's a couple non-Scarecrow creatures in here. So I have all 5 Mirrors, or mirrors, or however you pronounce it, 1 for each color. Now this offers me a question, because you see here that it costs 2, but it can pay for a color. So whenever I have these in my hand, I'm sort of asking myself a question. If I can play it, I'm always asking myself a question, and that is, should I pay the 2 and just cast this and then play Reaper King next turn, or should I play this turn? So, like I said, I have all 5 in here. I love this art. Sentinel in here. There's no real reason for it to be in here other than I found it in a bin at a card shop and thought it was a cool creature. It's a 1/1 for 4. I think it has Defender as well. There's not really any ways. It doesn't say wall or anything, so I don't know. But you can pay nothing and change its toughness to like +1 of the power the creature that's attacking into it, so that can be pretty helpful sometimes. I have Stuffy Doll, and this, like, there's no really reason for it to be in here either, other than the fact that I thought it'd be cool to have like dolls in a Scarecrow deck. So it's a 5-drop for a 0/1, and when it enters the battlefield, choose player, it's indestructible, and whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. So this thing can just like block their biggest creature on the ground and direct it all to them, which is pretty sweet. Creepy Doll is a little bit better than Stuffy Doll. It's a 5-drop as well for a 1/1. It's indestructible, and then whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, I may flip a coin, there's no choice. If I win the flip, I can destroy that creature, which is pretty sweet. Fidalcan Archmage for 2 and double blue, it's an 0/2, which is pretty weak, but whenever I play an artifact spell, I can draw cards, so this can draw me a lot of cards. Both Burnished Heart and Opaline Unicorn are in here for sort of mana fixing, as well as just being an artifact creature, which I can get back, especially this one with Scarecrow, and keep using its ability to get lands. Darksteel Ingot for obvious color fixing purposes. Also is indestructible, which became relevant today. I was actually playing with this deck, and someone cast Planar Cleansing, and I was able to keep my Darksteel Ingot. Darksteel Pendant for 2. It's an artifact and it's indestructible, and I can pay 1 and tap it to look at the top card. So basically, I scry 1. Mirror Works. This is also a proxy. For 5, it's an artifact, and then whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield under my control, I may pay 2, and if I do, put a token that's a copy of that onto the battlefield. So that means I get, like, if I copy a Scarecrow, I get 2 triggers instead of just 1 from Reaper King. Soul Ring, because it's good. Spear of Heliod for Anthem purposes, and also I just think that it's strictly better than Glorious Anthem, just because you can use that activated ability to destroy a creature, which can be pretty good. Traveler's Amulet, which is for obvious mana fixing purposes. Wanderer's Twig, which is like exactly the same except the name, but it's the same card basically. And then Tempered Steel, it's a enchantment, and artifact creatures you control get +2/+2 for the same cost as a Glorious Anthem. And since there's only artifact creatures in here except Fidalcan Archmage, it's pretty good. Now onto the lands. Oops. So my lands are not like, this is a very budgety deck. In fact, the most expensive card that's in this deck, and it's not actually in here yet, is Academy Ruins, which is like $5.50 for Modern Masters version. So anyways, I have all these lands that were just printed recently in Cons of Tarkir, all 10 of those. Just because I had guild gates in here originally, but they're strictly better than guild gates because you can gain a life, so let them all in here. And Command Tower because it basically can tap for any color in my deck. Opal Palace because being able to power out my Reaper King stronger than it already was is pretty sweet. Transguild Promenade because even though that it's not like amazing, it can still tap for any color. Academy Ruins, which I already said, I can tap to pay I can tap to put 1 colorless into my mana pool, or I can pay 1 and a blue to put a target artifact card from my graveyard on top of my library, which can so I can, like, if a creature dies from persist, like, I just keep putting -1, -1 counters on it. Then I'm like, alright, now I'm just going to bring it back to the top and keep playing it. Tomb of the Spirit Dragon, which was also just recently printed in Cons of Tarkir. I can pay 2 color, or it taps for colorless, but I can also, the more relevant ability is, I can pay 2 and tap it to gain 1 life for each colorless creature I control, which is pretty much everything. Stocking Stones. Stocking Stones and Zoetic Cavern are basically my quote-unquote man lands for this deck. One of them morphs, which for 2 colorless, and then one of them I can pay 6 for it to become a 3/3 until basically until the end of the game. And then I'm running all my basics in here, so I think there's 8 plains, 8 islands, 7 swamps, 7 mountains, and 7 forests, my favorite. So anyways, so this deck is very cheap to build. Like I said, the most expensive card in this deck is Academy Ruins, but everything else is commons and uncommons. So if you're interested in building this deck, it doesn't cost very much. Reaper King is a little hard to find, but rest assured he is not expensive either. He's only like $2. So anyways, thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more content like this, please let me know, and I will in the comments down below, and I will be sure to read them and make some more videos like this. So comment, favorite, subscribe, do all those things, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye.